We begin at the Africa Climate Summit, where President William Ruto has called on international lenders to give debt relief to African countries to help them combat the crippling effects of climate change. The president speaking during that ongoing summit, also leading calls for a restructuring of the global financial infrastructure to make available funds to countries that need them most at fair and equitable rates. Here's Brenda Wanga with that report.
The second day of the African Climate Summit saw presidents, prime ministers, deputy heads of states join global leaders and thousands of delegates in tackling issues that continue to plague the nation in matters climate change. The leaders wasting no time in tackling the elephant in the room, climate financing and the place of the continent in the existing financial models. Kenya's President William Ruto leading the charge of those calling for fairness and equity from the global lenders.
We want a fair financial system that treats everybody equally. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not too much to ask.
Ruto says the global financiers have treated Africa unfairly in the past in practices that keep the continent in a perpetual cycle of debt, impacting the continent's potential for growth, thoughts reinforced by other heads of state and global leaders at the summit.
And the biggest contributor to debt distress in our continent is high interest rates. We pay 5 times more than others, meaning that in fact, the architecture is set up in a manner that if you borrow, it will be difficult for you to pay.
And the key to making this happen is, of course, finance and finance and finance. This finance must be made available. This must be made accessible. And this finance must be made affordable.
Financial system that is able to provide an effective debt relief mechanism that supports payment suspensions, longer lending terms, lower rates. And it means recapitalizing and changing the business model of multilateral development banks so they can massively leverage private finance at affordable rates to help developing countries build truly sustainable economies.
The delegates are also told of the toll that climate change takes on the continent's GDPs and its ability to develop. The countries from the continent say they will put on a unified front at the forthcoming COP28 meeting for the expansion of what they call the special drawing rights at the IMF that could unlock billions of dollars of climate finance. At the same time, the president says the continent should look at ways of cashing in on its vast climate resources.
And I mean we need to have a conversation about carbon tax. Yes, we believe it is the only way. It is among the ways that we can raise additional and adequate resources for us to finance our development.
By the time this summit ends, Africa hopes to have started the process of changing the narrative that this continent, although rich in natural resources, is the victim to that narrative that she is indeed a wealthy partner who can craft her own solutions to her problems, but also participate on the global table as the world shifts to cleaner and greener energy. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV in Nairobi.